Okay, head on a swivel. I'm checking for another trade. Nick's been a madman this draft so far, and I did a live stream this morning on the members channel. That if you'd like to become a member, I put out twice to three times as much content now on with the members side because I can do longer live streams and just kind of wing it. There's a link in the description, but I want to attack Aireontae Ersery. I'm trying like hell not to mess up the name, but this is going to be a difficult one, as Nick pointed out last night.
Picked Jalen and then kind of moved a little bit with the other Jalen. I know we got Jalen's and we got all these guys around. I mean, it's going to be.
Yeah, no, I just said it's not cool, Nick. We got a Jaden who last night I was calling Higgs for some reason. Jaden Higgins. I was calling him Hicks. Jaden Higgins, Aireontae Ersery, Jalen Noel, and Jalen Smith. I want to look at Ersery, and Ersery is fascinating to me. And I think that there's probably a lot of division in terms of people that are excited about the pick, people who are down on it, and a lot of it might be based on which draft boards you were looking at. Daniel Jeremiah, when the Texans made the pick, pointed out that he talked to some teams that had a late first-round grade on Ersery. Other teams had a third-round grade on him. And I think I understand why. The big thing about Ersery here, let me back this up at the beginning because this one is impressive athletic plays. Left tackle, he's played left tackle his whole career at Minnesota at least, and he's athletic. Okay, you get him out on the edge and in space. He does some really good things. He's 6'6", 331 pounds. They run a zone-based system at Minnesota, University of Minnesota, so he has to do a lot of athletic things. And he's really good in pass protection. He's not as physical of a run blocker, but you can see right there the recovery, even after the guy had almost gotten past him. He's, for a big guy, he's able to redirect. He's able to block in the zone scheme. He's very good against speed rushers, but he's just kind of stiff-legged. So I think some people look at him and they see a guy that doesn't move all that fluidly. He doesn't move the way a Josh Connerly or any of the guys who went in the top 10 would have gone. But he's got a certain mass about him that there's just no substituting for. And I think about guys like, ironically, Trent Brown, who's on the Texans right now, massively tall guy that lacks some ability to bend, but has been a really good player for a long time in the NFL just because he knows how to use his mass and his size. So this is where coaching comes in, and exactly how can Cole Popovich and Nick Caley and everybody else help him out. There'll be questions about whether he's ready to play right away or not. He's not as physical in the run game and as maybe you would expect him to, but some of that's because he doesn't quite get low enough. That's something he can work on. He is very athletic. He ran a 5.40 40. Just I like the kid a lot. And part of it is because I've played against guys like that don't necessarily move the way your ideal picture perfect tackle moves, but they're just so damn big. Orlando Brown Sr. was one of them. Big Zeus, we called him. So we've got a couple questions that Nick handled about Ersery that were interesting. Aaron Wilson asked the question about, hey, the old Bill Parcells theory. He called it the planet theory about, oh, no. That he asked that about the wide receivers. Never mind. Here's Nick on Ersery.
Tay has a body of work. So Tay
is Aireontae. I keep saying Aireontae. He's calling him Tay. Smart move.
Similar to, I would say, Iowa State in some respects. Coach Fleck's program is a developmental program. They're not taking necessarily 5-star players. So Tay's got some things that he does well. He's got plenty of things that he can work on. His mindset, his attitude, his competitiveness, his physicality, his toughness. Like, you see that on the tape. So there's certain things that he does well. There's other things maybe he needs to work on. That's where D'Amico's talked about this. Like, this is why we coach. This is their job as coaches, is to enhance the strengths, try to improve the weaknesses, and get them to perform at whatever optimum level that is.
So when he mentioned Iowa State there, he went into a pretty long spiel during the press conference last night about how PJ Fleck from the University of Minnesota, where Ersery is from, and then Matt Campbell at Iowa State, where the Texans now have 3 wide receivers from Iowa State, are guys that he really respects in terms of the programs they run, but also that those two guys, PJ Fleck and Matt Campbell, give them really good feedback. So I found this podcast. It's from the Locked On Minnesota Sports podcast. And the host, whose name will be up here in just a second, had asked Ersery, how does Brian Callahan, not that Brian Callahan, but Brian Callahan, the coach at University of Minnesota, who's the run game coordinator, how does he seem to churn out good offensive linemen like he has? And tell me if this response sounds a lot like what Nick and D'Amico talk about a lot.
I think it's just, Coach Fleck, Coach Cal, the guys finding the right fit, guys who love football, most importantly. And, the coaches are passionate, and you got to have players that match that. So, and it just all falls together,
I don't know what's going on there. Okay, it all falls together. But no, passionate, love football, all of that. Lots of college kids can say that and everything, but I think the Texans have I think they are really using a fine-tooth comb these last couple years, especially when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. If you look at both the wide receivers taken, every draft pick so far, really, you see football character. And I think that the standards going to be a little bit higher because they really want to establish the right kind of culture in that room. This is, and I saw one of you said, a couple of you mentioned guard, and John Harris. Why would John say that? Tell John to stop. I don't know what somebody up here said that John will compete at right guard. I would love that if he's able to make this transition. This is interesting. I've got thoughts on that. This is what Nick Caserio had to say about Ersery potentially playing guard.
Played tackle, so I mean, what can he do? I mean, like, nobody thought Titus could go inside and play guard until he actually went in there and do it. So you're never going to put any limitations on what a player can or can't do. So he's a tackle until he's not, and if a player can handle more, it's all based on what they can handle. So, but Tay's got a bunch of snaps at tackle, so I mean, we feel like we got pretty good competition at tackle. We feel like we have pretty good competition inside. Like, who are the 5 best linemen as we sit here today? Honestly, none of us have any idea. Like, we're going to find out, and whoever the 5 best are, then we'll go in there.
I very much believe that last part. I think there's going to be absolute, total, pure competition on the offensive line. I don't think Titus is just going to walk in and either the starting right tackle or the starting left guard spot is his. I mean, certainly not over Lake and Tomlinson. They're not just going to. I think that's a genuine competition. If they decide that they want either Ersery or Blake Fisher to start at right tackle, or maybe Trent Brown's knee is fine and he looks really good, I think Titus is going to have to earn a position either at right tackle or left guard. I'm skeptical, and I'm 100% open to just being way wrong on this. My gut tells me that Ersery is a tackle, and that's what he is. Until I start to see him maybe be able to bend and play a little bit lower, I just don't think he'd be able to get away with that at guard. But like, guys, offensive linemen develop all the time. So just that's the way I see it right now. I'd prefer him to be able to go out and play offensive tackle, learn how to play offensive tackle. I think right now you don't look at him as a bona fide day one starter. But I think he's going to have a chance to compete. I think he and Blake Fisher will have a chance to compete at being the swing tackle, certainly. And we'll see how he does. And I can't tell you enough how much I mean this. The guys who are that big and just can flat out handle it. On the defensive side of the ball, think of John Henderson, the old defensive tackle. He was tall and stiff and beat the crap out of people because it didn't matter. As long as you've got I'll say the manliness to be able to handle being a little bit more upright. If you have the power that goes along with it and leverage, one of the things I like about Ersery is on those outside zone runs, he gets his hips around really well. He has a good feel for positioning guys. When he's blocking downfield, he can zero in on them. It just doesn't look as pretty. And I like the guys who can do it without looking as pretty, because sometimes it's just a matter of just be willing to fight every single down. There's one more here. Nope, that was it. So I like the pick. I thought they were pretty. I mean, they must really like him. They were pretty aggressive in going up to get him. The Texans were not the winners by points on that pick, but I like it. Yeah, and I understand this. Before I even look at the comments, I understand and realize that this offensive line, the sum total of it, is not making anybody super, super excited and comfortable right now. Nick Caley, Cole Popovich, and everything else, just the scheme being better, has got to be a big part of the entire unit getting better. But there's going to be competition compared to last year in training camp when Kenyon Green was just slotted in there as a starter on day one. Juice Scruggs was slotted in there as a starter on day one. And during training camp, I'm standing on the sideline and I'm trying to get excited about the wide receivers going against the defensive backs, but the offense couldn't get a playoff. Laramie Tunsil wasn't practicing. Titus Howard wasn't practicing all that much. The offensive line was just getting destroyed by anybody and everybody. I thought the Texans were going to have the best defensive line, including the defensive tackles, in the history of football, because they were 3 yards in the backfield, 0.3 seconds after the snap. And a lot of that was partly because I think Bobby Slowick was just not great at helping out or engineering or anything when it came to pass protection or run design. And then part of it is just let's have genuine competition. Okay. I feel Ersery is our left tackle eventually, maybe left guard at first. I think the plan, not that Nick tries to not really have a long range plan because you can never predict what's going to happen. The way it slots right now, I could see ideally Cam Robinson maybe starts the season at left tackle. Maybe Ersery is a prodigy and he really comes along and he starts at left tackle. But I think eventually, if it all works out, Cam Robinson is just fine. He's been a steady pro for a long time. Just had a rough stretch when he had to change mid-season and go up and play in Minnesota. He's on a 1-year deal. And that if Ersery can come along over the course of 1 year, that you're set there for a long time. And maybe left tackle is his best spot. Maybe it's right tackle. I don't know. But that doesn't make you feel better in the immediate moment. And that's where a guard in the first round or an offensive tackle in the first round, you probably would be feeling a lot better about it right now, especially if it was one of the guys who are more pro ready. It's going to be very uncomfortable. Until September. It's going to be uncomfortable. I have Fisher at right tackle. Fisher is a freak too. Yeah, and Fisher's in that same boat where I think they drafted him and he was a project. The word on Fisher was, man, if he had stayed at Notre Dame one more year, probably could have been a first-round pick, or maybe could have been a first-round pick. And because I'm guilty of this, you look at a guy, you sign him, and you're like, okay, this guy's a project, and it's a 2-year plan. And then when he plays midway through the first season, somehow you forget everything you said, and you're like, I can't believe he's not playing. I was actually encouraged mid-season last year with Fisher and some of the good things he did, but there were other times where he looked very much like a rookie. Let's see. Astro enjoyed the members only live stream. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. Your insights on the new receivers and cornerbacks were spot on. Well worth the 99 cents a month. I'm going to be honest with you, everybody. When it comes to all the Jadens and Jalen's on the team right now, I have a hard time getting names right. As you know, this is a challenge for me. I like the members only live streams because I feel like I can F up 29 times a minute and nobody judges me for it. Okay? All right? Maybe I'm sensitive. There's Jalen Petrie. There's so many damn J's these days. And it's everybody 20 years ago was just going on a Jaden and Jalen and Jace. Jace, there's a kid at my kid's school. There's so many JAs out there. I don't fault you for it. It's hard for the old people to figure it out. How do you feel about Cole Popovich? I'm waiting. I'm just going to wait and see. I don't judge it. I don't hold it against him at all that he was the assistant offensive line coach last year. I've been on too many teams where either the defensive coordinator was sus or the position coach. Well, I got really lucky with position coaches in the NFL. I've seen other positions where the position coach was suspect, but there was an assistant coach, and I'm blanking in 2006, 2005, when Dom Capers got fired, the assistant offensive line coach was a really good dude who ended up coaching in the NFL for a long time. I wasn't as big a fan at all of the actual offensive line coach at that time, and that assistant offensive line coach went on to be a pretty damn good coach in the NFL. I think that hopefully that's what it is with Cole Popovich. There's just the assistant offensive line coach can only do so much. He doesn't have veto power. He can maybe raise his hand and make a suggestion, but there's very, very few. There's actually zero successful long-term NFL coaches who made their name by telling the guy immediately above him that he was an idiot and that he was doing it the wrong way. If he did it, subtly. He just, he killed him with kindness. telling me, I'm not going to talk about Woody Marks just yet because honestly, I like what I've seen of him yet, but I haven't dug in yet. Anybody that gets picked today, other than Shedeur Sanders, the woman who announced the Shedeur Sanders pick was masterful. She was understated. She came out. She's some kind of an administrative executive or something for the NFL. And she came out and she's just very pleasant. And she opened up the envelope and she was saying it very slowly and quietly. And then all of a sudden there was a little glint in her eyes. And she said, Shedeur Sanders. She held the sh. She created suspense. God bless her. Good for her. And God bless all of us for being able to watch the drama and the competition in Cleveland. This is going to be fascinating. So I'm going to run. I'm going to get to Jaden Higgins at some point in the next couple days. Hopefully, ideally, I'd like to do all the draft picks tomorrow, 15 minutes, and show you some film or so. And just to leave you, I don't think I finished out the rest of the Ersery. So just to leave you with a little bit of Ersery. Oh, one more thing about Ersery is versus Abdul Carter. If you go to YouTube, search NFL Film Room, I think they have all the snaps that he took versus Abdul Carter. You can see some of the pluses and minuses in that game. He had a bunch of really good reps when Abdul Carter was speed rushing around the edge. His minus reps tended to be, Ersery's minus reps tended to be when Abdul Carter was slanting inside. And that's been noted as a weakness, is that at times his feet get underneath him a little bit, and his upper body gets out in front of him, and he doesn't quite use all that length he has when guys are making inside moves. There's plenty of evidence of him picking up games and stunts and doing a good job of it. I think it was Sam Warren in the Chronicle said that he had improved in that this year. The coaches had remarked upon that, and he's got the endorsement from PJ Fleck, who's a splendid dresser. So there we have it. Have a good one, everybody. Like, subscribe, go check out in the description below. There's a link to become a member. It's only 99 cents a month. For 3 cents a day, you can feed a desperately insecure Seth.